Hello, I'm Alex the Hunted. So a few years ago I did my list on what my opinion were on ranking every single Godzilla movie from worst to best. My ultimate Godzilla countdown, basically. And it's been a few years since then, and a few more Godzilla movies have come out, and some of my opinions have changed. So let's go back and do a Redux list. It won't be as long as last time, it'll just be my quick thoughts on each one, probably about like 30 seconds each. And I'll also go into the newer movies as well. So let's begin, shall we, with number 36, Godzilla City on the Edge of Battle. I said in the past that this might become, in my opinion, the worst Godzilla movie, and it is. It's just so boring, the characters are so annoying, and it's just up its own ass with how clever it thinks it's being. The soundtrack is nice, and the actors and animation are at least trying. It's just boring, and that's the biggest sin a Godzilla movie can be. 35, Godzilla's Revenge, the most Gamera Godzilla movie ever made, and this is more Showa Gamera. It has an annoying Kenny character, it is cheap as hell, and the story is just bizarre. And it has Minilla. I'm sure dedicating a whole movie to him and making him talk will work, or what, it doesn't? Oh well, enjoy the stock footage. Watching this kinda makes you wish Godzilla did end at Destroy All Monsters. Number 34, Godzilla vs. Hedorah. This is the most insane Godzilla movie ever made. Toho tried the new director for Godzilla to see if he can bring some new life into it, and they regretted it immediately. It's just a fever trip, and it's trying to do an environmental message, but it really just gets lost in the whole insanity of it all. People really seem to like this movie, I'm not one of them. Number 33, Godzilla Planet Eaters. The grand finale of the anime trilogy is just the last dying cough of a dying series. Just seems like everyone couldn't be bothered. Even the main villain is just a priest, and they spent ages focusing on him and barely anything on Godzilla and Ghidorah. It's just the last limp of a dying animal. God, this anime sucked. Number 32, Godzilla Raids Again. Rushed in every single way, and it just feels cheap. And rushed, and that's because it was. I just can't get into this movie. I know some people find some real meaning in it, and that's good on them, but I just don't. It just feels like a rushed cash grab. But it does give us our best boy Anguirus. Number 31, Godzilla 1998. I may have softened on this movie recently, but it's still a bad movie regardless if it's a Godzilla movie or not. Even if you don't view it as a Godzilla movie, the human characters are just so unlikable, it's so badly acted, and it's just another Roland Emmerich Is in America the Greatest Thing Ever movie. Number 30, Godzilla Planet of Monsters. The start of the trilogy honestly gave me hope. I mean, it wasn't a great start, it takes forever to get going, but the foundations there were strong. But the foundations were there for something great, and they just fucked it up. But this movie is fine, it's not good, but it's not awful. It could be a lot worse, I mean, we've seen how worse it can get. Number 29, Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. It's amazing how standard this movie is. Everything is just so standard. It's the standard military who wants to destroy Godzilla with a weapon that they just pulled out of their ass. Our main character wants to get revenge on Godzilla because of something Godzilla did to them. And also there's another kaiju in there somewhere. It brings nothing new to the table. It's as standard as a Godzilla movie can be. It is just vanilla Godzilla, and that's fine for some people. Number 28, Son of Godzilla. The turning point for Godzilla, the moment where they gave him a son, is when he became a full-blown hero. This movie is fun, but I'm not going to say it's good. Your fun and enjoyment may vary depending on your feelings towards Minilla, but this movie is just fine in my opinion, and it does give Godzilla more character than ever, even though he looks like he's been on crack in between movies. Jesus, look at that head. Number 27, Godzilla vs. Megalon. In my opinion, this is the lowest point of the Godzilla franchise, but it doesn't mean that this movie isn't fun, because it is such a fun movie to laugh at. It's a great movie to riff at. It's Godzilla's full-blown superhero, and it has Jet Jaguar, who you can't help but love. And Megalon is just a joy every second he's on screen. This movie is shit, but it's the best kind of shit. Number 26, Godzilla vs. Mothra Battle for the Earth. The more times I watch this movie, the more I find wrong with it. Simply put, it shouldn't be a Godzilla movie. He feels so unnecessary in this movie. It's a Mothra movie, it should have stayed as a Mothra movie. Godzilla is just there in the way. Also for the Heisei era, it's the most kid-friendly movie in the series. And that's not really a good thing because this movie's tone is all over the place. But it is still nicely written in parts, and it's a Heisei era movie, so it gets the main points right. Number 25, Invasion of the Astro Monster. I know this one is a fan favourite, but I'm not one of them. It's not bad, don't get me wrong. I just don't enjoy it because it's clear that they had to scrap a lot of it due to the budget running out. Godzilla, Rodan and King Ghidorah have very little screen time, and the fights are only around about 2 minutes long each. It heavily relies on the human characters, and while there is a tragic storyline to it, the rest of them are just bland. But the Exilians are a joy to watch. Number 24, Godzilla vs. Gigan. The first Godzilla movie I ever saw, so it has a soft spot in my heart. And while it really overuses the stock footage, it's still a fun fight. I just can't help but like it. I won't ever call it one of the best in the franchise, but I just like it. I mean, it's got Anguirus and Godzilla being best friends. How can you not love that? Also, the main characters I kind of find really interesting. They're not just your boring military and government types. They're quite a lot of fun and quite memorable. But yeah, you always remember your first. Number 23, Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. This is clearly when the Heisei era was running out of steam and it just felt tired and rushed. But it is at least fun. This is the only Heisei Godzilla movie where Godzilla is the outright hero of the movie, and we have the cute little Godzilla. And that Space Godzilla, while it is a stupid name, is a good design, and also the updated Mulgira is just one of my favourite Heisei designs. It's also a Heisei movie, so there is something about it that just works well. I also think and for this one I think it's Mickey and Yuki, and he is such a badass character. But why do they watch him in the shower? Seriously, it's so weird, I can't get over that. Number 22, Godzilla Tokyo SOS. I think this is the most overrated Godzilla movie ever. I see it so many times on the top 10 list, but I just don't get the praise for it. But I just don't get why it gets so much praise when the first movie of this two-parter is just so much better. The characters aren't as good, the fights aren't as good, and Mothra really doesn't play a big enough role to really matter in this movie. The designs are amazing, but damn, Godzilla just feels so weak in this movie. I really don't like this portrayal of Godzilla, but it is very well made, so I'll give it that. Number 21, Ever a Horror of the Deep. Yeah, after recent watching this movie, I found myself really enjoying it. It has a slow start, but once the gang make it to the island, this movie is just outright fun and it never stops. It's an island adventure movie that was supposed to be a Kong movie, but it has Godzilla. And it is just a fun watch. I mean, it's not by any means good cinema, but it's just fun. The Red Bamboo are a joke enemy, and Eber is also a joke, but it is a fun time. I'm just surprised how much I enjoyed it after a rewatch. Number 20, Destroy All Monsters. The original grand finale for Godzilla kinda falls flat, where Godzilla and all the other monsters sort of feel like secondary afterthoughts to the human story, and Toho being really proud of this rocket prop, which gets more screen time than all the other monsters put together. But it could have been better, and it's a good thing Toho decided to continue the franchise, because this would have actually been a very disappointing final movie for Godzilla. And Toho, please make another Destroy All Monsters with everyone in it. Number 19, Godzilla 2000. A movie made out of spite, and it's a really good movie made out of spite. This is a really good first Godzilla movie for fans who want to get into it. This is a really good first Godzilla movie for young fans wanting to get into the franchise. It uses the two most used Godzilla plots in one movie. You have an alien invasion movie and the military trying to kill Godzilla plots put together, and it's just a fun time. It's nothing deep or really asks anything, but hey, not every Godzilla movie has to be a metaphor for something. Sometimes it can just be a fun movie. It's a good time killer movie. Number 18, Terror of Mechagodzilla. The final Godzilla movie of the Showa era is a really great tragic storyline with its main characters. It's a great mature Godzilla Showa era movie. The problem is it just is so slow. It takes an hour for Godzilla to show up, and Mechagodzilla's terror only really lasts 5 minutes. But hey, it does have plenty of explosions, so it does send off Godzilla with a bang. Number 17, Godzilla 2014. Probably the movie that has gone down in my opinion the most. It's not bad by any means, but man, are there stretches of this movie that really drag it out. The best character dies in the first 20 minutes, so you're just left with the boring Brody character, and he's just such a charisma vacuum on screen. But the Muto storyline is good, and Godzilla is shot really well, but man, those cutaways really get frustrating. We just want to see monsters fighting. We don't want to see boring Brody. Number 16, King Kong vs Godzilla. The first Godzilla and Kong movie to be in colour. This Clash of the Titans has elements that have not aged well at all, but it is just a lot of fun. Both kaijus get plenty of screen time, and the final battle is one of the best in the entire franchise. That being said, the human characters are just blank pieces of cardboard. They are just there to be around when the kaiju action starts. Number 15, Return of Godzilla. A fantastic start of the Heisei era. It upgrades Godzilla and brings him into the Cold War. and it just shows how Godzilla can fit into any situation. It's a really interesting movie, especially since it uses Godzilla to show Japan's position in the Cold War, being in between two superpowers, neither one of them wanting to look weak. The Godzilla suit, while the head sculpt is a bit, well, it's a bit goofy in some shots, in other shots Godzilla looks really intimidating and the city destruction scenes are really impressive. Number 14, Godzilla King of the Monsters. Great score, amazing kaiju design, amazing action pieces, and yet I cannot help but see the flaws in this movie, and mainly it is yet again the human cast. And on a more recent watch, it just has the same problems as 2014's Godzilla. It keeps cutting to the human characters when the monster action is happening in the background when we want to see it up close and full blown. It's nowhere as bad as Godzilla 2014, but it is just frustrating in that way. But it is a fun time, and it is a definite improvement on the 2014 Godzilla. Number 13, Godzilla vs. Biollante. Just goes to show that sometimes the fans can write something just as good as the professionals. Godzilla vs. Biollante is the template for the rest of the Heisei era, and while Biollante has very little screen time, the design and suit is probably some of the best Toho have ever done. And hey, it has a human story that is really bloody good and some awesome characters in it. And it also is the debut of Mickey, and she's so fine, I mean, she blows Godzilla's mind. Number 12, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. The introduction of Mechagodzilla is just a blast. It's Godzilla meets alien invasion meets fantasy movie plus a spy movie, and it also has King Caesar. It's full to bursting and it just really works. It's one of those Godzilla movies that even when Godzilla is not on screen, it's just really fun. The human characters really keep the momentum going, and as a celebration of Godzilla's 20th anniversary, Toho finally decided to wake up and make a great Godzilla movie after 4 duds in a row. Number 11, Mothra vs. Godzilla. One of the most influential and important Godzilla movies ever made. It's a great tale about the folly of greed. One thing I did notice on a rewatch is just how catty Mothra is to the humans. The humans go over and beg her to help beat Godzilla, and she just asks, "Have you got my egg back?" The humans are like, "No, we can't," and then she's just like, "Well, fuck you." It's really kind of funny just how much Mothra just doesn't care about the humans at first. It's a great showcase of Godzilla's indestructibility. Really, it's a great movie. Number 10, Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. When people say human characters don't matter in a Godzilla movie, I point them towards this movie because in my opinion this has the best human cast of any Godzilla movie. It is just amazing how well they are written. It is amazing, and the Godzilla design is also amazing. It just sucks how they portray him. But everything else in this movie is just so good it doesn't ruin it. This movie is truly great. Number 9, Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. Godzilla goes Doctor Who as we go down the time travel route, and we get what I think is the definitive Godzilla origin story. This movie has just so much imagination, and is a true clash of the titans with Godzilla and King Ghidorah. And of course with Godzilla getting his own mecha, so should his nemesis. A great movie with great ideas, and you would have thought going down the time travel route would be jumping the shark, but no, it works really well. Number 8, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. The introduction of Godzilla's greatest enemy also features Rodan and Mothra. What a coincidence. Anyway, this is a real fun one. Like a few Showa era movies, it really does take its time to get going, but once it doesn't really stop. Ghidorah does feel a bit forgotten sometimes, but there is plenty of monster action, and it's also a really important movie in the franchise. Number 7, Godzilla vs. Kong. Here we have it, the most recent Godzilla movie, and it's more of a Kong movie than a Godzilla movie, and it's just a great time. While the human characters are still not that interesting, the characters of Godzilla and Kong more than make up for that. This has some amazing world building in it, and for once in these versus movies there is an actual outright winner. It's a great fun watch, and it makes you want the continuation of the Monsterverse. Legendary. Number 6, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. My favourite Mechagodzilla movie is an amazing reinvention of Rodan and Son of Godzilla, giving them the most iconic designs. While Mechagodzilla isn't as good in terms of design, it still looks really great. And it's very interesting that this movie, technically Godzilla is the bad guy in it, but you are rooting for him the entire movie, and the military are supposed to be the good guys, but you sort of root against them. They are just so desperate to kill Godzilla that they will do anything to get that way, and the sort of that ends justify the means way of good guy in a way that sort of makes you want them to lose. It's really interesting how they make you root for the technical bad guy of the movie. Number 5, Godzilla Final Wars. This movie is an absolute blast. The story is stupid, the action is stupid, everything about this movie is stupid, but it's the best kind of stupid. It's the stupid that is just so much fun. It is not trying to be clever or think that it's smart, it is just there to have fun. It's Godzilla's 50th birthday party and you're just invited to enjoy the wild, wild ride. It's just such a great time. Number 4, Godzilla, the best Godzilla movie objectively. This is a true masterpiece and the start of an icon. It's amazing how brutal this movie is towards its subject matter. It's a movie about a country's pain after being a victim of the only nuclear attack on another country. This movie is a true classic, and it brings a view of nuclear weapons that only a country that has experienced an attack can give. The only reason why this movie isn't number 1 is while it is objectively the best Godzilla movie ever made, it's not really my favourite, but you can't deny just how great it is. Number 3, Godzilla vs Destroyer. This to me is the perfect ending to Godzilla. It is the perfect ending to the Heisei era, giving the characters we've spent so many movies with a fitting goodbye, and also sort of feels like Toho is just sort of passing on the torch to America. Well, it didn't last very long and they took that torch right back. It does feel like a fitting goodbye. Destroyer is also an amazing design and truly feels like Godzilla's final enemy. It brings Godzilla full circle and I really can't think of a better ending for the character. Number 2, Shin Godzilla. I think this is one of the best Godzilla movies ever made. I think this is not only one of the best Godzilla movies ever made, but one of the best movies to ever come out of Japan. It takes Godzilla and updates it to the modern Japan. It's a Japanese political thriller and it completely tears apart the Japanese political system and all its red tape, while also giving us one of the most experimental takes on Godzilla that we have ever seen. It uses Godzilla to point out the problems inherent within the system. A true worthy successor to Godzilla. And number 1, Godzilla Mothra King Ghidorah Giant Monsters All Out Attack. And what do you know, the movie I have said is my favourite in the franchise for years is still my favourite in the franchise. What else is there to say really? It is a fantastic take on some of Toho's most iconic kaijus, and Baragon, by one of the best directors in the kaiju game. It is just truly amazing what a brilliant take he has on these characters and the world he builds around them. And the human characters are also just really, really damn good. It's just such a perfect Godzilla movie. I just love it. That is my opinion. I mean, I've said it so many times, it's my favourite Godzilla movie and I don't see that view ever changing. So that was my Redux list on ranking every single Godzilla movie from worst to best. Tell me what you think in the comments below and what your list would be also in the comments. And of course, I'm Alex the Hunted. I have a Patreon. You can subscribe to that. You subscribe to me, like, comment and all that good stuff. I'm Alex the Hunted and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.